Hi, welcome to Color Speak. I'm J.M. Huxley, Janet Huxley, and I am with my good friend Missy Maxwell Worton today. Her big claim to fame, well, she has so many, but
Oh,
her one big claim to fame, as far as I'm concerned, that I always jump up and down over is her book that she wrote, an award winner entitled Don't Mess with This Mama, about her story rescuing her daughter from Ethiopia. That is a good one. You need to read it. It's going to be a movie one day. And I'm not just kidding. It really is. So
yes.
I am excited to have Missy here today. And today, Missy is going to enlighten us with another of her very many talents
Oh,
and, and expertise. And that
thank
is
you.
the field of, it's so true though, the field of frequencies. And
Yes.
I just love what she has to say on this. And again, we're here for you. We are here because we love you and we care about you and we want the best for you. And so this is just another step in enlightening you on the way to a better, more holistic and healthful way to live with Holy Spirit as our guide and his ability to open our eyes to the things that he's created for us to enjoy here on this planet and those things that he has given us to promote our health and well-being.
Mhm.
So without any further ado, welcome Missy.
Well, good morning, Janet. It's good to be here. I've started saying, good new day. I hope you're having a great new day because now all of a sudden I've heard morning is a word that we should, and I'm like, oh, there's too many things that, that we're trying to relearn. So, but good day.
What's wrong with good morning? It
Good
doesn't
day.
extend throughout the day. Does it imply
Well,
we want each other to have a good morning, but nothing else?
Well, no, here's what they say. They say there's a spell in the spelling. And when you say good morning, mourn means you're mourning somebody, you're mourning your life. But they also say you awake. So what do you do at a wake?
Okay.
I'm like, there's a lot
Interesting.
there. There's a lot there, but
Yeah,
I
there's
found out
lots to
that
unpack.
yeah, I know. Yeah, just look into some of these words. It's pretty scary. But one of the things I started saying was, it's a good new day. And I like
I
that
like
because when you
that.
say it's a new day, have a great new day, you're looking at it fresh and it's like, I like this new day. Yeah,
I like it. Let's start it. I'd like to start that trend.
let's do
You've
it.
probably already started it. I'm on board. Let's do it.
I did it today. I was like, hey, have a good new day. And they're like,
It.
I like to do that
Okay.
to
All
people.
right then. Wow. And already we're off to a great life-changing start here on
Yeah,
Colors.
yeah, many colors.
Okay. Well, good new day to you, Missy, my darling. I am so happy to have you here, as
Yeah,
always.
I always love seeing you.
I always love seeing you. So this is going to be the Mutual Admiration Society here, and you're all welcome aboard. So what would you like to say about frequencies to start us off? Because we've already determined you and I could talk all day long on this.
Yes, we
Yeah,
could.
for real.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, okay, there's so much to cover in frequency because everything has frequency, right? So I think a lot of people don't understand it. Like
Mhm.
I remember I had been chosen to do this speech and it was at a Christian, it was at a church and they chose me based on my speech that had frequency in it. And they said, we love your speech. Can you pull out the frequency stuff? And I was like, is there a problem with frequency stuff? And they said, well, it's just kind of new agey.
I
And
knew
I
you
was
were going
like,
to say that. Yeah.
oh,
New
new agey. And so I was like, well, and I said, here's the deal. People don't, it's they don't understand how frequency works. It is created by God himself and it's all over the Bible. But one of the things is our body is 60 to 75% water, right? So
Mhm.
frequency, if you've ever watched any of these videos, you'll see a stream of water and a frequency will be introduced to it and suddenly that stream will go like sharp corners. Frequency has the power, but that's why inside sometimes we feel really heavy and it's because we've been around very low frequencies which are very dense and they pull the body down. Whereas high frequencies feel elation. You have elation. A lot of times, like at church, when you hear a woman go into a high C, all of a sudden you got these chills all over you. That's a very high frequency. But I go off to the side. But one of the things that I always laugh because I'm like, okay, so let me just show you where it is in the Bible. So right up front, God did not waste any time. Genesis 1:2, right? So
Mhm.
it's funny. You sent me an aid text today, and you used Genesis 1:2. I don't know if you realize that, but in
I
the back,
didn't. Wait, what was that text?
it was a text. It was a to read an article. So I always read articles that you
Mhm.
send me because I'm always finding I
Sure.
love. I'm just a curious. That's one thing my mom would always say. You're just curious. You're just curious.
Me
And
too.
I'm like, there's so much to learn.
Right.
But it does say, okay, so I'm going to look at my Bible real quick. It says, now the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. And the Spirit of God, the Holy Spirit, was hovering over the waters. And God said, let there be light. Okay, this starts creation, right? I looked at hovering, and the prime root word for hovering is brooding, movement, fluttering. But
Yeah.
it's a verb. And so I went to, I'm studying Hebrew because I need something else to do.
I love
Um,
it.
and so I looked at the Aramaic because Hebrew and Aramaic, they're really close together. But I looked at the Aramaic, it meant quiver, it meant shake, and it meant to reel. And that's like a circular. And then Arabic means to quiver, shake, or tremble. But then Strong's exhaustive concordance said it means terribly to shake. So I was like, there
Yeah,
it
I knew you were
is.
going with
There
this.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Because I'm just
Mhm.
going to share this frequency. What does frequency mean? It's described at the rate at which a vibration occurs that constitutes a wave. I'm literally reading that out of the dictionary. And it's either in material as a sound wave or in electromagnetic field. Remember what I talked about our hearts, our electromagnet?
Well,
Mm.
okay, so let me just say before we started recording,
Hmm.
I was telling Missy, and this is so true, that okay, what do I know? But my body aches a lot. And I'll get to how I'm changing to make that different. But I find myself wrapping myself in my electric blanket at night because it feels so good. It's like getting in a warm bath. And what did Missy tell me? Maybe not such a good idea.
No, because you're wrapping yourself with that electricity cord that is, I mean, there's electric impulses and it goes straight towards the heart. The heart is electromagnet. So everything, one of the best things you could do is to take a bath or hot tub
Mhm.
with Epsom salt. Epsom salt is great for relieving the tension in the muscles. But then when we get in bed, my husband and I, there's a place you can buy, I wish I had it in front of me, but linen sheets. So linen is 1000 hertz
Yeah.
HC.
Mhm.
So we did a grounding bed, we did all this stuff, but then we got linen sheets and we put them on, and we don't have an electric blanket. We took it out when we found out that it was starting to affect my husband. And what happened is after I take a bath, I get in bed, I warm up immediately, and I'm out. No pain.
Yeah.
But here's
I
the
started
thing.
doing the bath at night too. I mean, I
Yeah,
do it first thing in the morning
yeah,
because it just really gets all of my muscles going and I'm awake once I come in from doing farm chores,
yeah.
whatever. And
It's
then
the
and then I'll
best.
do that before I get out and greet the day.
Yeah,
And when you've done that in the morning, you think, "Oh gosh, it's just too much to do it at night." It's overindulgence, but I'll tell you what, I've done that the last couple of nights and like you, I have slept very well.
amazing.
And the
Yes,
Epsom salt is terrific.
the
Yeah.
Epsom salt is wonderful. But let me tell you a little secret about linen sheets too.
I want
So
to hear about this. And I want to
okay,
hear about the grounding bed too,
okay,
because
so
I've already been rethinking the sheet thing. So this is,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, so you know that there's frequency and material. And the Bible talks about don't mix your fabrics. Okay, so it
It
talks about that.
does.
I
Yes.
always thought, all right, the dude was on mushrooms, something was going on right
Yeah.
then.
Doesn't
Why
have
would it Yeah,
whatever.
why would it matter? But literally, if you take wool, which is 1000 hertz frequency, and you take linen, which is 1,000 hertz frequency, you would think both of these are healthy organic materials, but they cancel each other out. If
Is
you
it a
use,
thousand or is it 5,000? Oh no, I guess
I'm,
it is.
I
It's
I know it's
5,000.
I know it's a, I know
Yeah,
it's at
it's
least
5,000.
5,000. So it's 5,000.
It's
Wow. So it's even
5,000.
higher.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, but in World War I, they used to take the men off of. They would bring the men in who had been hurt. They would take off the frequency clothes that they had on, and they would wrap them in linen cloth and lay them there. And do you know their frequency helped them to be restored to their body? Whereas, did you a dying body is right at 15 hertz
I
frequency,
heard
which
that.
is the same frequency as polyester.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Yeah,
So
that's why
you and
we
I
feel
were talking
so.
about, why is it that when we wear those things, we come
Yeah,
home and we just feel like, ugh.
you
And then as soon as you take those things off and you put on your soft cotton or your linen, all of a
yes.
sudden you feel like you're decompressing, like,
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
home, I'm safe,
Hmm.
I feel
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
And
You,
really, isn't that something? Because I think for so long, just to kind of set the foundation for everything that we're going to talk about today. So for so long, we've been hoodwinked, right? I mean, we're all understanding now that we've been living in the Truman Show,
yeah.
that life isn't the way that we imagined it to be. The people in charge aren't who we thought they were. There isn't a governing body that's looking out for our welfare and our well-being other than God. There isn't a society that really cares about the welfare of our children and the education of our children. There isn't an organization or governing body or committee that is looking out for the welfare of our food. And in fact, quite the opposite has been true. They're spraying stuff on our food. They're killing us in the skies. They're corrupting our minds. They're programming us for death all of the time.
Hmm.
So it would make perfect sense as we begin to understand this,
Yeah,
that as God is exposing everything, that we would come to understand, oh my gosh, that's something I missed too. I
yeah.
didn't think about the clothing. It would make sense that God would create clothing for us just like
But,
he would food.
but it's
That,
right there in Leviticus. And
yeah.
we're like,
Wait, how did I miss that? I've read the Bible a couple of times through. I
don't
totally missed
use
that.
materials. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? It's
It's
crazy.
really crazy, but it's really exciting.
It is exciting because
Yeah.
we're waking up to this and
Mhm.
we're saying something's wrong, and people are stepping forward and saying this is a low frequency. And as you know, exercise clothes, most of them are made with really bad material. I won't say which one is one of the worst, but if you've ever done research about this tight material that then we sweat in, and then our sweat is just opening our body to these poisons that are in this outfit.
I
So,
know. I've thought a lot about this because I was a fitness instructor for 12 years at 24.
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've spent a lot of time in those sorts of things
Hmm.
and had no idea. But I think too, just think about our undergarments. I
Yeah.
was looking online just this morning and reading what was said, and that's so true. Why would we want to put our undergarments? Why would we want to put that material
Yeah.
in the most intimate places? It just doesn't make sense. So and sleep. I started considering when I was thinking about all of this. And see, I told you I wore my linen today. Well, and I
Yeah.
wore
I
my
love it.
jeans too,
Yeah.
and I feel so much better than when I have to go to work in the
You
city and
do.
wear
You do.
other
It's
stuff.
crazy. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Just yeah, I know it's a slow process.
It
I
really is.
started with my undergarments first, and then I've slowly started changing shirts, and yeah, it's a slow process.
It is.
100%
So,
cotton.
what about when you've been shopping for your granddaughter? Because I have a pregnant daughter, as you
Yeah.
know, and so we went shopping last weekend, and it was so different than anything I've ever experienced because for the first time, I'm looking at labels on everything.
Oh yeah.
And I found a pair of pajamas that were just so, I felt like I would melt in them if I took them home.
Hmm.
And I had them in my possession. I thought, oh, I'm going to get these. And then I thought, no, I really do need to check. And once I checked the materials, I realized, no, it wasn't the soft cotton that I
Yeah.
thought it was. It was
Yeah.
a mixture of viscose, which is you want to avoid that too. It's
Yeah.
Viscose. I think I'm saying that
Oh, oh, yeah.
right. And I don't know. I think it was polyester or acrylic or something.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
thought, no, I can't do this. So then I was picking up the baby clothes
yeah.
and telling Rachel, I said, oh my gosh, I never knew this before. I mean, we would feel
Mhm.
this as moms. We would feel the material and
Yeah.
think,
It's
this feels so great. It has magnetic buttons or whatever it is. And that's not the best that we should have been putting against
mm-mm.
our baby's skin. It's wild.
Yeah.
So I started thinking, wow, as we move forward, everything about the way we shop and the materials we use is going to have to change.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be more readily available. But
Mhm.
I think the prices have to come down too, because so much of this is cost prohibitive for most people.
Yeah.
Because you can't pay $60 for a
Mm-mm.
child's jumper, for crying out loud,
Yeah.
when they need, 75 of them or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things for babies now, my daughter's very aware of maybe I just talk too much in front of her, but when it comes to herself, she doesn't care what she wears, but her baby, and like the diapers, because
Oh
that's
yeah.
around a very
Right.
important area. And we found either you get cotton diapers that you
Mhm.
have to wash, or I mean, she's found a good brand in Honest. It's called Honesty or
Mhm.
something like that,
Mhm.
and that has been a healthy product. But we've got to watch everything, because you start becoming very aware. I tell you what, it's great for cleaning out your closet.
It sure is. It sure is.
And I'm seeing some of the
Right.
cutest stuff for my granddaughter is some of the most lethal stuff. These cute
Yeah.
little outfits that are
And I,
just polyester. They're
yeah,
soft.
and I just think it's criminal that we're putting bleach and other
Mhm,
chemicals in our babies' diapers. And
mhm.
I was asking Rachel, I said, I want to make you a shower cake, a diaper
Yeah,
cake, because I do that for the girls. I
yeah,
have, kids that have had babies. And I said, I'd really like to make you a diaper cake, but I need to know what diapers to get. And she says, the problem is people are offering to buy me diapers now, like from Costco and other places to get me set up. And she said,
yeah.
there's not a diaper that Costco sells that's acceptable.
No.
So it's difficult to be sure. I told her, I said, well, you can always get back to the cloth diapers. I did that with one of my children, my second
Sweetheart.
born, Kelsey. I did, but I was living in California at the time and hearing about all of the landfills, and I just felt
Yeah.
compelled to do it. And then I ended up switching from the cloth diapers when I was told, well, we were using too much water in San Diego. So that that made it difficult too. But I had no idea about the chemicals of that at that
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think, we definitely need to be more aware and to be changing um, what we're doing to ourselves, our bodies,
Yeah. And
in
and
terms of, yeah.
yeah, in terms of that, and it's funny because when she wraps up little Susie, she says there's this one blanket she loves the most. I looked at the blanket and it was 100%. And I said, because she feels it.
Yeah.
She just come from heaven. She
Yeah.
knows what it feels like.
I love it. Yeah. We've already gotten some linen outfits and linen blankets and that kind of thing. I
I
mean,
love
honestly, the closet isn't pure by any means
No,
because
it's
she's been shopping a little while and we didn't know.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, this epiphany only came to me last week, for crying out loud, even though you and I have been talking about frequencies. It didn't
I
even
know.
dawn. And then the other thing is, like I said, and I'll let you talk about healing frequencies and all of that, but just as a, I don't know, highlight today is even just jewelry.
Oh yeah,
I started thinking, well, because I work part time I work in a jewelry department at
right.
a department store. Okay, so talk about clothing. We have to wear black slacks, which are always, polyester.
Oh
There
yeah.
can be no, jean material or whatever.
Mhm.
And a certain shoes and all of that. Dresses for sure. For a long time, women were required to wear pantyhose.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that now, but during the winter, what else are you going to do? You really have to if you're wearing dresses.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things I really feel. I
Mhm.
feel for those who are thinking and saying to themselves, well, but I don't have the luxury. I get
Right.
it. I don't have the luxury either of dressing the way that I want to several times a week.
Yeah.
So I get that. But as part of that, I want to tell you that I've really I've been more aware of jewelry and what it does to people since I've been working
Yeah.
there. And I
Yeah.
think God had a plan
Mm.
for me to be there for so many different reasons because of the incredible people that I've come into contact with and been able to talk with Jesus about.
Yeah.
But the other thing is jewelry. So when it's like we have a lot of fine jewelry, both silver and gold. And
Hmm.
when the silver sits in the case, it tarnishes all of the
Yeah.
time because it's under lights and it's in the case. And a lot of times people will come in and say, well, I no longer wear my Lagos necklace or whatever it is because it's tarnished. And I always say, well, honey, you can solve that one of two ways.
Yeah.
First, you can polish it. That's not a problem. But did you know that if you wear your bracelets, your silver, your gold necklaces, whatever, all the time, you never, ever, I mean, I never polish my silver, ever,
It's true.
ever, or my gold.
It's true.
I just
Yeah.
don't.
You don't need
And
to.
so I think for a long while, I mean, especially in the church community, and this is really topic for another day, but we've talked about it before. And I met a friend who we talked about this yesterday. In the Christian community, the Pharisees and the Sadducees in our groups have always said, oh, well, you shouldn't wear silver or
Oh,
gold. You shouldn't dress up. You shouldn't be vain. You shouldn't wear jewelry and, all of the things, wear makeup, whatever. And I've always said, now makeup may not necessarily be good for you unless we're trying in this house to be very clean, wear
yeah.
makeup. But, silver and gold, it has frequencies. So no wonder we want to wear it.
Mm-hmm. It really does. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. I mean, that's why I was sharing. I always wear my gold
Yeah.
because it has that frequency that you can feel it. And
Yeah.
it cancels out. I forget everything about gold and silver, but it cancels out some things that come near us. Um,
Yeah.
I
I
need we
read all kinds of, well, and I just wrote something down. It says it can be used to bring your body into its natural state of equilibrium.
There you
You
go.
see that, ladies? We're telling you, you can wear your jewelry to church and you don't have to be ashamed. You
You
can do
don't.
it.
You
You can
don't.
be feminine and wear your jewelry.
Well, you can, I mean, literally talking about frequencies, we're a frequency. Like we carry a frequency. And if we have that frequency of joy, of love, here's the big one, authenticity. Um,
Mm, I
I
love
mean,
that.
I was teaching my group of ladies and I said, there is nothing higher than authenticity because it is 400, I believe somebody said it was 4,000 times higher than that of love. And that is when you truly believe something and you truly, when you speak, you're saying it in belief. Like there's nothing higher than that. So if you walk into a room, you can shift the atmosphere just because you're carrying that you believe that you are there to love on people. And I love to,
I love
before I
that.
walk into a meeting, I'm always like, Lord, just let me just be palpable love to these people and palpable joy. And I do, I walk in with that, just, I want to be here to love you and just serve you. And it's a high frequency. So I
Same.
love
Yeah, I want that too. And that's a frequency from the Lord. I have always championed authenticity because you can feel when someone isn't authentic,
it.
and
Hmm.
that's extremely frustrating. It
It
feels
is.
like there's a block there, and that block disables any connection that you could possibly have.
Yeah.
And that includes horizontally as well as vertically, right? So yeah, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that. I remember you talked about that and I thought, wow, that's really something to chew on right there.
That is. And so I was curious and so I was like, okay, love has a frequency of 528. They call that the love frequency.
Oh, that's the
Five
healing frequency.
That's what?
That's the healing frequency,
Yeah,
528. Yeah.
528 literally, I mean, it's also the same frequency as the bees. I mean, I'm telling you, there's a lot of things. It's very healing.
Mhm.
And but one of the things I times 4,000, and authenticity came out to 2,112,000. That's high. high. That is a high frequency. And another thing they're saying is with these high frequencies, they literally have the ability. I know it's in Israel for sure, but they have the ability. They've been using frequency to target cancer, and it is literally imploding the cancer cells and evaporating them. This is the wave of the
Wow.
future's
I
frequency.
think so too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
the
think
wave
so
of,
too. It's really, it's very helpful. I told you I walked down to my pond the other day and I sat there just talking to the Lord, and it was great because the weather allowed me to do that. But I
yeah,
think there was something in the air, and whether that was normally I'm not affected by spring allergies at all. So I always wonder, like we talked about earlier, what they're spraying in the air today. But I walked back and I had a terrible headache. And I knew it was coming on, and I knew it was nothing that I had done except being outside. And for crying out loud, that's unusual.
yeah.
But I ended up playing frequencies. And first, I really think this is great too. You could play a 528 frequency and you're
Mhm.
all water. Well, what if you get into a hot bath and play that frequency? I just felt like I was covered
Yeah.
in healing frequency. And then I went into town, as I shared with you. And when I still had a headache and it
Hmm.
still kind of came up the back of my neck. But when I became immersed in a conversation that was about a friend and what she was going through, and I took all of the focus off of how I was feeling
Right.
and ministered to her and proclaimed what I know to be the truth in the gospel and declared the truth of Jesus and the truth of healing. As I shared with you, I felt like the frequency changed. I felt like every demon within a 5 mile radius skedaddled out of there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was feeling brand new. And
Yeah.
so we talk about these things, but I think when we incorporate healing into outward focus
Yeah.
and all of the things, love for others,
Yeah.
concern for others, it
Yeah.
really does elevate. So what you're saying is the frequency that we can take for love
Hmm.
combined with the frequency of authenticity sends us off the charts, which is maybe why I was feeling euphoric yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, that's, if you've noticed, anytime you help other people or you're there for other people, you get your mind off yourself, you focus on
Mhm.
helping others, and you see them respond to it and come out of this doldrums, it does something to you because you know you've given beyond, and it's that love frequency. But the other thing that really is because you're authentically loving them. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
you want them better, you want them to succeed. It's just like a mother's love for her child. You
Yeah.
just you will see both sides. You will see the fierceness of a mom. I've seen calm women become angry hornets nest because somebody messed with their baby.
I hear.
That's
Yeah.
me. That's me. Yeah, somebody messed. So it's that. Okay, how do we calm this down to still be powerful, because we have the power to choose. So okay, yes, I'm very angry at what they did, but I also know that anger is a very low frequency, and I don't want to be tricked into going into a low frequency and responding the way they, like when I see lines in the sky, I'm just like,
Yeah.
you see all these exclamation points coming from my mouth, but it's like, okay, no, no, I have the power to choose what I'm going to let affect me right now.
Mhm.
So I know what I've been programmed to do is go, I'm so angry that you're doing this at me, and that's what you're trying to evoke out of me right now. So I'm going to go the opposite, and I'm going to say, okay, Father, I just pray for these pilots, number one, that you immediately start working on their hearts, and to change things. But in the meantime, don't allow one single drop of these chemicals to touch even the highest tree. you
So
know
let me speak into that because I think there are people I know in my own world that when these sorts of topics come up,
yeah.
frequencies included,
Yeah.
they're rolling their eyes and thinking, okay, they're just a little off kilter. But, did you see that reel that was going around where someone asked Siri, what are they spraying in the skies? And her response was chemicals and all the things, right? So I don't know if that has subsequently been taken care of, but certainly that was the case.
Yeah.
And, sometimes, and what we've heard over the past few years that started out as, oh, conspiracy. Now we know, oh my goodness, almost everything. I can't even think of one thing, seriously, that I heard that was conspiracy 3 years ago or 2019 heading into 2020 that hasn't proven to be
That's
absolutely true.
yeah.
So I always say to people, okay, you don't need to take my word for it. You don't need to believe Missy. Why don't you just go to God and see what sort of discernment that he has for you? Because if you're truly seeking truth and
Yeah.
not just an answer to help you get through your day that you feel placates whatever feeling you're having,
Yeah.
then you're going to get it. He's going to reveal things to you and it's going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
So you're right on target there. There's
Yeah.
so much coming out that we're learning about and we're going to learn about that people just have no idea about.
Well, for people that love music, let me just share this because you can prove this. You can go do research on this right now. And it will show historically fact where our frequency was changed over radio waves, our musical instruments, which is TV, right now, everything. Because in 1939, the person, his name was Joseph. Let me think. Goebbels,
Mm-hmm.
Goebbels. He was a right hand man of Hitler, and
Yeah.
let me just tell you, this person was, I don't know how you can call him that. He's very destructive, but he was master of mind control, he manipulation. He loved to manipulate and did every unspeakable evil that was done. But in 1939, he organized a meeting in London, and got together everyone to try to make and institutionalize our tuning frequency to all instruments and to whatever airwaves that were going out to 440. So he did that. It didn't completely pass over. It was called 440 was the official German pitch. Okay, so they kept pushing it. They didn't invite the French. They didn't invite the Americans. They didn't invite anybody, but they had the Germans there. And let me just say what this Dr. Leonard G. Horowitz said about the 440 frequency. And he did research his lifetime. He's not with us anymore, but he said it creates chaos, anxiety, aggression, emotional distress, detrimental to the human body, causing physical illness. And he says basically the 440 frequency, the reason they were trying to push it upon man was it is lifeless. It is a dissonant. It has a dissonant frequency. It's unrested and chaotic tuning that creates agitation in the human body. Therefore, it leads to dis-ease in the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this comes from Dr. Leonard G. Horowitz was talking, and he said, so why would the right-hand man of Hitler want to change the frequency of tuning our instruments from 432 or 444, which was where it was being tuned?
Mm-hmm.
And you know this by when you listen to Bach, when you listen to Mozart, Vivaldi, all of the old recordings of them are in the correct frequency. The instruments were tuned to 432. And that is more, it goes with nature. It naturally works with nature. 432 does. It also makes you feel, it promotes healthy blood pressure. 440 doesn't. It actually causes agitation. And what they were trying to do is they were piping all this music out over the Jewish people. They were creating agitation.
Makes sense. So how does that affect the average person today?
Oh, well, think about it. Okay, we could just take rap music. Rap music at 440, not only do you have the frequency coming in, but what is coming on top of it are the words and the words of what they're saying. So it's creating this very aggressive nature in very oppressed people, individuals.
Right. It's destructive.
Yeah. It's
right.
destructive.
And I think about the news. So we all know people in our lives who have the news on all of the time. I
All
don't
the
care whether you're watching CNN, in the last vestiges of the audience left there, or you're watching Fox News. It's still what frequency?
yeah,
It's
440.
that, yeah, it's 440. And so when that's on all of the time, can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine? I know people in my own world that have that stuff on all of the time.
The time.
No wonder they're agitated. No wonder they're stressed.
Yeah.
And they don't even realize it
No, they don't.
because they've been so hoodwinked for so long. And we're
Yeah.
talking about generations that have been affected by this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So isn't that amazing? So the Germans, from what you're saying, pulled this off and it
mhm.
continued to be utilized, that frequency, by the
Mhm.
rest of mankind across the board, including here in the United States.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll never forget being in a worship team, and I just learned about this 15 years ago. And I walked up to the head person. I said, "Hey, what are your instruments tuned to?" And he said 440. And I said, "Can you switch them to 432?" And he looked at me like I was crazy. He goes, "Why?" And I said, because 440 is dissident. And let's see what happens when we combine worship with 444 or 432 or 528. And so he just kind of was like, Missy, you always got something crazy. And I'm like, let's just try it.
Yeah.
Well, he never did it. But I tell you, my good friend Alberto Rivera and Kimberly Rivera, they have taken their music and they've put it to 528. If you listen to any of their music now, it's at 528 hertz. And I'm going to get her on here. She's coming. She's getting
I
ready to
would
go.
love that. I listen to her. I listen
Yeah.
to them. I listen to what they produce.
Yeah.
And even when Emily has been home, when Emily comes over, and I mention Emily because Missy knows Emily. So when she's my single daughter, that when she comes home from Dallas, she always stays with us here. And my husband's down the hall and she's in our bedroom with me.
Yes.
And we will sit there at night and we'll listen to things or talk or whatever. We're like giggling teenagers. But as we fall asleep, we're listening to Kimberly and Alberto Rivera.
Yeah.
Their music is extremely healing and extremely helpful. And I
Mhm.
also want to also tell everyone who's listening is that you really are kind of the expert. You've been a singer in Nashville for quite a while, so it's not like you just walked up on stage having, like, someone like me. I know nothing about this, know nothing about music or frequencies where music is concerned. So for you to know that and to be able to encourage that, that's fantastic.
And that's actually how I started. I mean, that's how I met Kimberly and Alberto. Our children were going to the same school. And I went to Alberto and started talking frequency with him, and his eyes got big. It was like, hey, you know frequency. And I'm like, have you implemented it? And he goes, no. And there is a guy, listen, this was before, I've been friends with him for a long time. But way back in the day, he said a guy had come up to him that they were at Sony something. They were at a big event. And this guy came up and he had just figured out all about the key of David, all of those things. And his name was Michael Terrell. And this is the sound of healing. And he had found, yeah, he had found out that the frequency hidden in some of these tones, and he's the one I learned all about the 440 from, that it had been connected, and it is connected with the Nazis. A lot of people want to say, nah, that's conspiracy. No, you just look it up. Why were they so passionate to change our tune? Because, okay, can I just share some of the things 432 and 528 do to your body?
I would love that.
I would love that. Okay, I listed them. I just listed them. Promotes healthy blood pressure. David played for Solomon at 432 hertz when he was aggravated. 432, the harp. Also,
Wait, let me interrupt you for a second because I'm always thinking about the naysayers. Sorry, it's the journalist in me. So how do we know that David played at 432? Because that's what a harp is tuned to?
yeah, that was the tune. They have found archaeological finds thousands of years old in Egypt. They found instruments. Guess what they were tuned to? Thousands of years old.
432.
430.
432.
You can find this. You can go online and say archaeological finds of instruments found in Egypt.
Okay.
What
That's
was their what
fantastic.
was their frequency? Toned frequency, and it was 432. Old instruments, and only probably played 5 keys.
Yes.
So, but then it's known to bring calm, right? Music and health. Um, it's the frequency is science and produces a release in stress and helps reduce heart rate and palpitations. So you also go to sleep faster with 432. It stimulates positive thinking and well-being. 432 does this. Feelings of being stronger in a sense. This is big for babies. If you can find, okay, I think Alberto has one that is that has baby tunes, but lullaby. I think it's called lullaby. Oh, they got so many. Lullaby, but it is one of the frequencies. It promotes a sense of security. So it's
This is
safety.
what we should do. You should do. I don't have time for it.
Yep.
Come up with a product, for babies
Yeah.
with healing frequencies in it. Because I
Really.
was looking at something the other day, for my daughter, and she said I sent it to her, and she's all over it. It's this baby was crying, and a mom handed her a very warm, you know, stuffed animal of some kind. What if
Yeah.
it had
Yeah.
frequency like 432 in it? That
Ooh,
would
that
be
would be awesome. We are giving somebody out there great ideas.
yes, I think so. Yeah, for
But
sure.
here's the other thing. 432 is the closest to the Schumann resonance. Now, if you've been following the Schumann resonance, man, that thing is spiking lately. That could have been the cause for headaches, because what it's doing is it's opening a lot of things in our brain, our neurological.
Okay,
So,
explain that.
okay, so the
Wait,
Schumann
do you
resonance.
still have your list? Am I interrupting you again?
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I can always come back.
Okay.
But the Schumann resonance is the frequency of the earth. And guess what? It's raising. It's raising. So when it's raising, that means we're going to a higher frequency. The plants, the earth cries out. I mean, I got chills at that. The
I do
earth
too.
cries out.
Yeah.
And the earth is rising in frequency as we rise in frequency. They are waiting for us to rise in frequency. We're
Okay.
not going to rise in frequency if we're sitting in front of a TV. If we're listening to 440 all day, we are set at a low frequency. We're feeling shame, guilt, apathy, grief. I mean, we've had anger. Don't watch news. We have not watched news in like 5 years. Best decision we ever made. If something important is going to happen, somebody will tell us.
Well, and here's my caveat to that, and it's not just because I'm in the news business. I mean, I'm still
Yes.
suffering through. But and I told my news director, when this one thing happens, I'll continue to work until this one thing happens, and that one thing's going to happen soon, and I'll get to that later. But I will say that I feel it's important that people pay attention to what is happening around them. I'm not saying get on and watch Fox News or whatever. Just turn the television off. Just turn that off. But I just think there's so much information and discernment that comes through. Go to the Lord and say, okay, who do you want me to listen to today? Because there are wonderful podcasters releasing really great information, and a lot of prophets and a lot of people who have worked in the inner circles of the white hats. I'll just say that, and the good that's happening in the world. So I think those things are I think it's important that we know those things so we can declare and we can be a part of that. It requires anyway. Yeah, but I do think, just forget everything you see on any sort of major media news outlet, because it's all baloney.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, one of the things that's starting to happen to people who are going higher in frequency, they're choosing, they recognize I have the power to be angry and I have the power to choose joy. And that's one of the things, I mean, my husband and I have gone through some really tough things this last few years. I mean, and one of the things we're like, we either choose anger and being downcast, or we choose as Jesus told us to choose in Philippians 4:8. We choose the higher frequencies. We choose the love. Here's the biggest thing. Thankfulness and gratefulness is one of the highest frequencies you can have. It's over 700 frequency hertz. So, go, if you're having one of those days where you're just mad, somebody just said something wrong. Yeah, God, I thank you for that person. I don't know what's happened in their life that made them so mad at life in general, and I was just a bystander of that. But just, I bless them. I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful that I get to choose. But I think we have to become the higher frequency because the earth is waiting and we are coming to a place, and it's already starting to happen, where the words coming out of people's mouth, we will not listen by, we'll listen to their frequency. So we can tell, is this real? Is this authentic? And we can tell when people are lying just by listening, because I'm
Oh, yeah.
starting to recognize somebody will say something and I'll go, that's real. That's I can feel their love. It's palpable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can also feel when somebody is so agitated by something is happening in their world and they've chosen a really low frequency and they're talking to me. I can feel that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how we're going to start getting. We're going to start going, oh, sweetie, why is your frequency low? You know, I read frequency. So tell me, let's talk about it. All right, let's give this to Jesus
Yeah.
and let's shift your frequency off of looking at what could happen, which is not truth, and looking at what heaven is saying about this situation. And
So
that's key.
what is your advice, Missy? I think of I feel like there are times, I feel like a lot of times I'm, like you, Pollyanna, and I'm always trying to, see the
I
bright
know.
side of everything, and I'm always cheerleading. And I would say to those who are listening, that doesn't necessarily mean that those around you will be affected. I mean, we talked about that earlier. Chances are they will be, but I mean, in a positive way. Sometimes that's not true. Sometimes the darkness that surrounds an individual is so put off by the light that there
Oh,
becomes
yeah,
it's like a clash of frequencies. Does that make
it is.
sense? And
It is.
it's in the spiritual. If we could see what's going on, I mean, it would be wild. So what
Yeah.
is your advice to someone who encounters, I can think of someone whose frequency is down all of the time, and every time that I go to spend time with this person, um, I have a battle that I'm very cognizant of. And I pray my way through it. And I always come away from the experience feeling depleted.
Mhm.
And then and then there's that shame thing that happens where the enemy's coming in and going, well, you shouldn't have thought that. And shame on you. You should be stronger than that. You should, be able to not, have that kind of response. What is your best advice in that sort of situation where you really are called to be in a situation with a person that doesn't have the same frequencies that you do?
Right. Right. Yeah. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
And I will tell you one thing that has worked. Usually now, if it's an abusive situation, I always just tell people you don't have to be in an abusive situation. You just don't. Shut the door on it. Walk away. Get out of that, because it's gonna it really almost destroys
Hmm.
us. You know what I'm saying? So get away from it. But let's just say a person just has a rotten attitude. I have one of those people in my life, and one of the things I go in, and I go in first of all to serve, and I always set my sights on the fact that I am coming in with a higher frequency, and my calling at this moment is to love them. To
Hmm.
love them. Now, do I get love back? No, I don't. But one of the things I've done that has helped many times, I don't know if you can do this with the person, but say, can I just hug you? And let me tell you what has happened. When you hug an individual, it grounds them to your frequency. So, because our heart is electromagnet, so our heart's electromagnet, so we're coming within this close to another heart. So our frequency is so high that that low frequency, it literally supercharges it.
I love it.
No matter what, you can hug them. And I just hug this individual. They're now like, where's my hug?
Mhm.
I hug this individual and I'm just going, I really want you to know I love you. How's everything today? And they're just like, oh, this is horrible. This is horrible. And I'm like, you know what? Let's find something good. Let's find
Yeah.
something good. Let's pick let's be thankful for that. So what's the good side of that? And they're just like, oh, I don't know how you can find anything good. And sometimes it's age that's just
Have
grumpy,
you
critical. miracle.
I think that's true. I do. And I've noticed that, and it concerns me. I pray for that. I don't want to be that way as I age.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I don't either. Yeah. And another thing is when you say, oh my gosh, when my mom and dad were in a care unit, assisted care, they were in hospice. And I would come in and just go around and hug all the people there and say something to them of how beautiful they were, because they were beautiful.
Hmm.
They were so beautiful. And I love this grumpy old man. And wouldn't you know, I mean, I pretty much, and he even said, "You broke me in." And I was like, "No, I'm not trying to break you. I just like you." And he's like, but if we show love, I mean, go for the higher frequencies. Go for the higher frequencies. Set yourself up to succeed when when you go in. Don't, like, for instance, don't be watching the news and
Exactly.
then come into contact with this person because you've just come into a frequency that's lowering you, and it's that low frequency, and
Mhm.
it's messing with your waters. Remember how I started off by saying we're 60 to 75% water?
Yeah.
And that sitting in front of a TV, listening to music with headphones where it's going straight in, that's messing with our waters. And our
Yeah.
waters are sometimes just in chaos. But if we can go back to Genesis 1 2, I mean, that word, because I did a deep dive in that. And okay, so what God did is he breathed on that water, right? And he was over the waters of chaos. Well, sometimes our waters are chaos.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just need to breathe the truth into them. We just need to breathe authentic love of God. And just one of the things I do is when I find myself really getting ready to go in to see a person that's a mess, or somebody that's just really angry, or going into a situation, I stop, I breathe in peace, and I release whatever it is I'm holding. It's breath. Where the word is, I think it's the letter Hey um in the Hebrew. It's Mem means water, Resh means authority, head, first, and Hey means breath, to reveal through breath. And then Pay is speak with your mouth. So
Mhm.
if with your mouth you could say, I breathe in your peace, Father. I breathe in your spirit.
Mhm.
And I breathe out the anxiety that's coming on me to even, stand on that stage or to go in there to hug them. Just fill me with your love. And he's so good. He just calms our water, just like he calmed the water and pulled and created something out of nothing. So
Mhm.
does that, I mean, I look at the Bible, it's always amazing. It's
It
always
really is.
amazing. It
Yeah.
comes right back to us. It does. And it's that's why I love, like to go back to the 528 frequency being the frequency of love. One of the things is one of the biggest things that I love is it creates self-love. It's called the miracle healing. So if your DNA is messed up, our DNA was created, and you can do research on this, in the frequency of 528, in the frequency of love. God created us in the frequency of love. How amazing is that?
Yeah.
It's like,
So
it's the,
amazing. Well, and
yeah,
I've long just pondered and celebrated and talked about the power of our words,
mm,
because
hmm,
he spoke everything into existence. He
yeah,
didn't wave his hands or any of that, or mold with his hands. He
yeah.
simply spoke, and there was breath attached to that, which is what I love about the breathing part. So I've long lauded our gift
Yeah.
in that, because he lives within us,
Yes, you know,
we have the
we
ability
have the ability
to.
to
Oh, I have
have faith
with you.
with you.
Do you hear it on
Do you
your end?
hear it?
Did you do
Did you
something
do something?
No, I don't know what happened. Okay.
interesting?
Hmm.
Well, we were
We
just
were just
that,
Yeah.
whatever it is,
whatever it is.
because
Yeah.
whenever I say something, I hear myself back.
Yeah.
Anyway, because we created, we create with our voice, and we are able to do so much. And so when I think about being with one person in particular that mourns, as you said earlier, the fact that I'm different now and I want to talk about Jesus now. And I don't want to talk about other people or, the trite happenings of the day or all of the frustration and fear that exists and all the things that we should be afraid of. But
Mhm.
I want to talk about hope. And
Yes.
this one person I'm thinking of, I recently was just had a quick conversation where I said, did you ever see the movie, or you should see the movie Life After Death? It was so exciting. I said, back, I've lost people over many decades. And I think it was back even in the 80s that I started reading some of these secular writers like Raymond Moody, who wrote Life After Death or Life After Life. And they interviewed people like him, and they brought a lot of people in that gave so much encouragement in this movie. And I said that it used to be the scientific community would try to disprove that there was life after death, and they would credit, oh, well, it was something that happened to the body and this chemical process and all of the things. And now even scientists acknowledge, no, there is life after death. We have irrefutable proof of that, as if it wasn't found in scripture, which always amazes me. That I had someone tell me recently, she's too logical to be a believer. And I'm thinking, that's exactly why you should be a believer, because that's the only logic there is. But see, people don't want to take the time because it
Yeah.
bothers them. It touches a nerve, and they don't want to go there because of past hurts or fear of
Yeah.
lack of freedom or whatever it is. But they don't even realize that they're self-suffocating. But
Yeah.
anyway, this person said, no, I don't even want to talk about life after death. It causes me so much anxiety, and it physically drains me. It's emotionally exhausting. And I was so sad because to be in this person's company is it's so wounding, because I love this person so much. It's a family member, you may have guessed. And so I know that we are going to spend some time together. And every time I'm with her, I feel like, um, I want to be able to share the joy, but I can't. So it requires, we
Yeah.
get back to the frequency and authenticity. I'm as authentic as I know how to be,
Hmm.
but that authenticity only causes her vibration to plummet.
Yeah.
So, it's an interesting situation, and I have to really shore myself up.
Hmm.
And I've known all of the things, all of the tools, in our bag that I've employed. Now, vibrations is just one more piece
Yeah.
of understanding in how to encourage. And I know that I am not supposed to plant the seed. I
Hmm.
mean, I've planted it. God will water it in his own way.
Yeah.
And I know that you all know people like I'm speaking about. You just want them to be happy and to be excited. I mean, when you hear some of the testimony from believers and non-believers, and the non-believers, how this one guy was just falling into the depths of despair, right? I mean, he just like crossed over into hell, where everything became much more alive and clear than
Yeah.
it had ever been on earth, but he was going in the wrong direction. And the more he thought, but I'm a good person,
Hmm.
the faster he was falling, until he finally said, okay, God, if you're real, save me. And then he was lifted up and drawn toward the light.
Yeah.
And others who said, no matter how real or how alive this moment is to you, when you cross over, it's so much more than you ever would
Yeah.
anticipate. So that this becomes like the dream that we're all in. And what we experience next is so gratifying and so much more, and you feel so much more alive. Wouldn't that just be so encouraging for people? I would think. I mean, it just makes me so happy, and it increases my vibration. So I just
Yeah.
like to share that, but not everybody wants to hear it. So
It's
perhaps I'm off on a little bit of a tangent there. I know we need to wrap up, but what else? What else do you?
no, that's just, I mean, that's that's that people need to know that they do have the choice. I'll never forget, there's where a guy saying you have the power to control how
Mm,
you are. So if you're choosing to be a negative, if you're choosing to be angry, if you're choosing to be critical, you've made that choice. It's your choice. It's not their problem. It's yours. And
yeah.
it's that place of just taking responsibility.
Mhm.
Like every situation that we face every day, we have to go, okay, how am I going to respond to this?
Yeah.
because I want to be angry. I
Mhm.
want to be, they dishonored me. I would like to just tear them up right now and say choice words and choice things to them and just let them have it. And there's this place of choosing to respond in love that is so much higher than anything we can imagine. And it does so much. It does so much because it breaks through all the frequencies. The low frequencies are very easy to take out. They
Yeah.
really are. They
Well,
really are.
and they're hard to be around, but then
Yeah.
our frequencies are higher. I mean, if you have a 5,000 frequency plus against a 15 or 20, whatever it is, it shouldn't be that much of an issue. And it really is about just wanting the best. You just want,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
crying out loud, none of you need to suffer. You just
Yeah.
don't. We don't need to suffer. Not
Mm-mm.
in a prolonged anguish sort of way. We all have, and we encounter that, but it need not be sustained. And
Yeah.
I want that for people. And so when I said Pharisees and Sadducees earlier, I think there are still people even within the faith that that choose that. And I had a conversation with another family member recently, and it was the same kind of thing, only it was, well, Jesus said we were supposed to suffer. And also in the word, it says there were no more prophets after John the Baptist. So basically we're all just supposed to take it, you know, and wait for the end to come. And I don't know. I think I, in this time, especially, we're called to partnership, and it'll look so much different. And partnership, circling back around, is all of the things, all the aforementioned. It's taking care of our bodies. It's getting out into nature. It's getting some sunshine. It's
Yes.
eating right, and it's understanding frequencies,
Yeah.
and that is so so important. And I'm
And
excited.
foods have frequency. So foods have
Yeah,
frequencies.
yeah.
So,
Isn't that
it's
interesting?
important. It is interesting. And everything we can touch or do has a frequency to it. Everything.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of information out there because frequency is starting to come and everything is going towards frequency now.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of cures are coming that
I'm excited about the Earth's frequency being
raise.
raised,
Yeah.
and lest anyone would say, "Oh, well, that's because of global warming or whatever." There's always something.
No.
It's so funny, and there's no basis in that too. I love it when people want to argue that. I don't even enter into that dialogue because it's
Yeah.
so unfounded and preposterous. Um, anyway, I think that is interesting because it lends support to the understanding that I say this all the time, in every single generation
Yeah.
God is looking for a generation of people to partner with him. Just
Yeah.
as in every generation, Satan is looking to raise up an antichrist and not knowing if that is the one that's really going to make it all the way through, right? Because
Yeah.
of, all the things, scripture and what we've been taught, which
Oh yeah.
is, again, news for another day. It doesn't necessarily look like what we've been led
Yeah.
to believe. So here we are in this partnership and in this time, and I think his people this is historic. I think that
Mhm.
now more than ever before, the planet is rising up and saying, you know what, we're not going to take it anymore.
Right.
And so it makes sense the frequency is changing as we
Yeah.
change it and we partner.
Yeah. And
And what
it's
an
and
exciting time.
yeah, and the Bible even talks about that. It talks about that the earth groans for the Son of Man to arise. To basically, if you deep dive into that, it means to basically awaken to who you are created to be. So, our whole life, I mean, working with the authors that I do, it's amazing. Your whole life, you build up this house, that is what the world says you are, and the bad frequencies and the traumas and all this stuff. And so you think you're this loser. Some people do. They're filled with shame, filled with guilt. And then Jesus comes in and he's the wrecking ball to all the lies. And you start letting go of the lies and rebuilding how you were always created to live your life, who you are, the highest person. And then you can help others. But one of the scriptures that has helped me seriously over time is Philippians. I said it, Philippians 4:8. But have you ever read that in the Message Bible?
No,
Okay,
but
so
I know I have the message around here somewhere.
yeah. So can I read that real quick?
I would love
Because
it. Let's do it.
Okay, so this is, some people don't like the Message Bible, and I'm like, guys, it's just the language. And the reality is Hebrew, every single word in Hebrew can be 72 different variations of what the meaning is. It's based on the person translating its heart.
You know what? Which is why I have about 12 different translations here, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
So, I mean, I always said, well, all the translators up till a certain part were men.
Mm,
They look at things differently than women
yes.
do.
Yeah,
So
that's so true.
very different. Not, but I do like men. I do. I'm not bashing men. I like men. I like them a lot,
Well, you know
especially
what?
mine.
Thanks, Missy, because we were really worried about that.
I got a good husband. I do. But okay, so let me just read this. It says, summing it all up, friends, I'd say you'll do best by filling your minds and meditating on things true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, gracious, the best, not the worst, the beautiful, not the ugly, things to praise, not things to curse. Put into practice what you learned from me, what you heard and saw and realized. Do that, and God, who makes everything work together, will work you into his most excellent harmonies.
I
Yeah,
love that.
isn't that awesome? And
It's
I mean,
beautiful.
isn't that
It's so
beautiful?
beautiful. And
Yeah.
there's like certain I don't have it near me, but I have in the Passion too. Some of the verses in the Passion are so lovely.
They're
I
beautiful.
just
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like that. And
And
each
it is
one, it's fun to hear them just a little bit
real
differently.
different. Yeah,
Yeah,
I specifically liked, just uh authenticity. Think about what's
authenticity.
beautiful, not ugly.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, do you remember Bambi? Mama said if you can't say something nice, don't say it at all. We need to learn from
Mhm.
Thumper.
Yeah. My dad always said that too. I loved that.
I
It's
love
true
it.
though. It's true.
It is.
Just think about the studies they've done in when you speak to your plants or your animals. And I noticed even I
Yeah.
have a German Shepherd and she can be really formidable. I'm not kidding. When my other two dogs, I had a Great Pyrenees, really big, and she would get into it with him, like in the
Yeah.
beginning when we first
Yeah.
brought her home. And then with a black lab, and I worried for the longest time she was going to kill them both. I mean, she can
Yeah.
lay it
Yeah.
down.
Oh yeah.
But when it comes to humans, and especially me, it's the way I talk to her, right? It's the
Yeah.
frequency. And when I look at her and I talk to her sweetly, she lays down and rolls over for me,
Mm-hmm.
at my feet. And you
Mm-hmm.
can just see there's so much love there. It's the way that we speak to everyone, not just each other, but animals, plants, the world around us, the
Yeah.
atmosphere. So, yeah,
That's
it's awesome.
somebody actually told me, they said that because I have two German shepherds. I love
I
them,
know you do.
smart,
Yeah.
smart as a whip.
Yeah.
Too smart for my gut. But they say they respond to frequency. They
Mhm.
said, so if you're angry, they know it, and if you're loving, they're excited. So I mean, think about it. Everything is a frequency.
Everything. Yeah. Yeah, I even talked to my plants ever since Emily got me on that because
Yeah.
she when she moved to Dallas, she gave me some plants and she says, "I know they'll be safe here. You need to talk to them and play loving frequencies for them."
There you
And they're
go.
prospering. I mean, they really are. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, play 528
Yeah.
actually helps with cellular.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a cellular regeneration.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
so fun. Well,
yeah.
Missy, thank you so much for
It's
spending time with
so,
me today.
this
We
has
can
been
talk
fun.
all day long on this, and we've
I
only
know.
touched the tip of the iceberg. But
I
I hope
know.
for people that are just either warming up to this or they've never heard about it, that it's food for thought,
Yeah,
that they would check it out and do some research themselves and find that, they could experience more holistic living by
yeah,
just listening to frequencies that the Lord has given us. And we're not by any means suggesting this apart from Holy Spirit,
yeah,
but
right.
that He's provided these things for us.
Yeah.
Wearing the right clothes, and what we didn't even touch upon is grounding. So I just go out and stand on the ground too, with my bare feet sometimes. And even this morning, I walked to the chicken coop. I don't know what it was. It's probably 35 degrees. I just walked to the chicken coop in my bare feet across the grass
Yeah.
just because I thought I can come back in and I can, take a bath and get my feet warm again. But even just this grounding. I don't want to miss out on it just because the weather's cold, because
Yeah.
there is something to it and you will feel a difference,
Yeah.
really. So
Yeah.
if you don't believe us, just
Just
give it
do
a
that.
shot.
And if you can't ground, like if it's too cold, hug a tree. I know this sounds crazy. Are you ready for me to
No, it doesn't
really
sound
sound crazy?
no, I count on you. I count on you to do
I,
this kind of
I
thing.
personally have proof on this. As you know, my husband received a diagnosis about 10 years ago. It affects the way he walks. So we were out walking our dogs, and all of a sudden his foot turns in. He has to stop. He usually settles down, breathes, everything. So I was like, I heard that if you hug a tree, it's good grounding. And so he's like, I'm not hugging a tree. What if somebody sees me? And I'm like, so act like you're doing something with the dog. So he goes over, wobbles over to the tree. He hugs the tree. I watch as his foot that's turned in comes completely out. And
Aw,
he walks back to me normal, normal.
that's
So
beautiful.
now we'll be walking and he's like beeline towards a tree. He's
Doesn't
hugging
matter
a
who's
tree.
watching.
Yeah, he doesn't care. It's like, hey, I'm hugging a tree, you know.
That's how I feel on this property. I mean, I can do anything. Nobody's going to see me, but you can hear a car coming from 3 miles away
Yeah,
on gravel, honestly. And so,
yeah,
but I go outside and I think, well, the neighbors probably hear me. And I say the Lord's Prayer out loud, loudly over my land every single day and talk to the holy hosts of heaven because we can do that. So
yes,
but that's another thing. But I will say that lest you do a search on grounding or because I've done
yeah,
this, I promise you, you will find the Pharisees and the Sadducees are going to be right there telling
yeah.
you, oh, this is bunk, or you shouldn't do this, or it's not Christian or
Mhm.
biblical. Again, we get back to what Missy and I suggested you do earlier, and that is talk to God. He'll give you discernment on it. Remember, there's always going to be a rebuff for everything good. There's going to be a counter that's going to try to refute whatever good is going on. And
Yeah,
that's true across the board for any subject matter. You just have to be willing to look for the truth.
you
So, yeah.
do, and ask him to give you wisdom
Yeah,
because that's
he'll
what
do.
happened to me. Is I was like frequency. Well, I know the devil doesn't create frequency.
He creates nothing. That's what we lose sight of. We
Yeah,
think,
he
oh, all
takes
of these
things.
new agey things, that's his.
Mhm.
No, those are all things that God created that he's attempted to counterfeit.
Yeah,
Hello?
he twists everything. He
Yes.
twists everything.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
And once
yeah,
you understand that, then you can open up your world to all sorts of beautiful things God has for you.
that's right. Yeah, I agree.
Thanks again for coming on. I know you're coming back next week for our Valentine's show with the
That's right.
girls, right?
Yes.
I think we're still
Yeah.
up for that. So we'll be talking some more goodness for you and encouraging you on Valentine's Day. That'll be
Yay. Little heart.
awesome. I know, right?
I know.
I sent Carolyn a heart the other day. I could only do it with, we have a mutual friend who sent me a beautiful jacket with an angel painted on the back. And I
Yes.
know you have one. And so I sent her with my phone like this. You know, it looks so cryptic in today's. I said, all it is it's another half of a heart.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, hey, how did you do that?
How did I do that?
Did mine do that?
No,
It
that's so
doesn't do
weird.
it.
That is so weird, Missy. You
That's so
saw that?
cool.
Wait,
I saw it. Yeah. Look at that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can't find mine.
that is so wild.
I have no hearts.
How on earth did that happen?
I don't know, but that's really cool.
It is really cool. Thanks,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll leave you with that. Anyway, for those that are listening on the audio, I made a heart sign and red heart showed up all over the screen. That
Yeah.
was so cool. All right. Anyway, thanks for joining me, Missy Maxwell Worton. I'll see you again soon, and
All
thanks
right.
to the rest of you for listening to us and watching us today on Color Speak. And may you have a new good day today
That's right.
and good vibes. Until
Yes.
next time, we'll see you.
Bye.